My name is Tori Hardin, and my presentation was over the Ebola outbreak in the West Africa region. Ebola is a hemorrhagic fever caused by an infection of an Ebola virus strain. The disease was first discovered in the Democratic Republic of Congo near the Ebola River in 1976, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And right there's a picture of an Ebola virus strain. Currently, the only parts of the world that are actively transmitting and are infected with the Ebola is in West Africa, in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. Areas that are not actively transmitting are the United States and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Ebola is transmitted through many ways. Humans have to be first infected by an animal that carries the disease, like a fruit bat or a primate. And fruit bats and primates are very popular meats in Africa. And if the meat is not cooked properly, humans can get infected with Ebola. And then fruit bats can also inject the virus into the fruits, and then when the humans eat the fruits, they'll be infected. Once a human is infected, it can be passed to other humans through direct contact. It is not airborne, but it can be transmitted through blood, body fluids, needles and syringes, sexual transmissions, and then eating of infected meats. The contact has to be through open areas of the body to be infected, like an open wound or scratch, and then also through the eyes, mouth, nose, any open area of your body. This is just a picture showing how the bats get infected and they spread it throughout themselves, and then they transfer it to the other animals or a human. And once the other animals transmit it through themselves to other animals, the humans get it and then spread it through themselves. There is no treatment for Ebola yet. It has not been discovered, but it can lead to organ failure and most of the time death. People can recover from this disease, but it takes a long time to get their bodies back to normal. Because the disease doesn't have a cure, there isn't much people can do to help someone infected. Replacing lost blood is a major way to treat someone. And there's a picture of a man being treated by the people, and you can see their uniforms, what they have to wear to keep themselves safe from the virus. There are many symptoms of Ebola. A person that has been infected with Ebola shows symptoms from 5 to 10 days, and these are just the beginning warning signs, like fever, weakness, chills, muscle and joint pain, and severe headaches. And then as the disease progresses, symptoms get worse, and then on top of this previous symptoms, there's vomiting, diarrhea, a raised rash, chest and stomach pain, extreme weight loss, internal bleeding, and then bleeding from the eyes. That is why it is so important to have people nearby replenishing blood for the people infected. There have been more than 10,602 people die from Ebola since March 2014. These deaths have only occurred in 6 countries. Liberia's death count was 4,408. Sierra Leone's death count was 3,842. Guinea's death count was 2,337. Nigeria's death count was 8, and then Mali's death count was 6, and the United States' death count was 1. But you can see how drastic the people over there are being infected in West Africa. West Africa holds the largest amount of people who have been infected with Ebola. The first recent case of Ebola was detected in Guinea of March 2014. The conditions are so poor in most regions of Africa that people don't have the efficient health care to get treatment. Sanitation is also very poor in these regions, so the water they're drinking isn't fit to drink in the first place. If they have a virus, it's just worse on them, and the sanitation just helps the virus spread even more quickly. This is the largest outbreak of Ebola since recorded history. There has been previous outbreaks though, but it's not been nearly this large. 90% of the people who are infected by Ebola die. This is a map of the West Africa region. The red is the places that have been affected by, that are currently infected by the Ebola. The tan striped regions are where have been affected and there have been reported cases, but there's currently nothing active there. The H's are the Ebola treatment centers they have. And then the other little boxes, if you can see them, they are green and orange, and those are also laboratories that they retrieve information and try to find out things and ways to make the virus go away faster. Cities and surrounding affected regions of West Africa quarantine the people living in these regions so they do not get affected as well, even though that is very hard for some. But citizens of Yonu, Sierra Leone were willing to break social ties to keep their villages safe from Ebola. That means no contact, no people leaving, no people coming. And then people all over West Africa have to stop traveling, stop business, and socialize outside their village to quarantine the virus completely. But many people are not willing to break these traditional customs of their everyday lives to save and stop the disease. Precautions for healthcare providers in West Africa. Many healthcare employees from all over the world have traveled to West Africa to volunteer their skills and help provide assistance to ones infected with Ebola. Healthcare workers are highly educated on Ebola before they begin to work with the patients because they need to know all the precautions they need to take, the risks they have of getting the disease, how they get it, and what it can do to them. They're required to wear protective equipment while having contact with these patients, and they're required to be physically fit because of the humid climate and the protective gear that is required. The people will get so hot and they'll sweat. They have to keep hydrated, and they have to eat efficient, healthy meals. You can see the whole full body suit that they are made to wear. Protective equipment that is required as well is a protective gown, a face mask, gloves, apron, goggles, or a face shield. They are required to do many things for the people with Ebola, like check their vitals, give them medicine, assist them in feeding or drinking if the patient is too weak or not able. They are also required to have at least 2 years of experience in the health profession. After they are done helping and they are ready to leave, they cannot travel in the air after working in an Ebola area. That is actually how the United States received the virus in the first place. Healthcare workers are not allowed to work with patients back in their home areas until 21 days has passed from their return. And 21 days is the longest amount of time for Ebola to start showing symptoms in a person. And after that, they say the person is okay. They should also record their temperature regularly and watch for signs and symptoms of Ebola after they have left. That they should avoid direct contact from other people for 21 days just to make sure that they don't have the Ebola virus. The outbreak of Ebola in West Africa pertains tremendously to the human-environment interaction. The conditions of the environment led to the creation of this disease. The poor conditions eventually led to the virus reoccurring and spreading here recently. West Africa doesn't have the efficient health care to take care of the people who have been infected. Then you can see how poor and in poverty they are and how poor the sanitation is, and it's almost unfit to live. People with this disease are affecting the environment. The environment is being brought down with this disease and is making certain regions of the world unsafe to live in. Hunting the animals with Ebola in West Africa is hunting is very common, and then once they hunt the Ebola, it can cause the humans to come in contact and start an outbreak if they kill or come in contact with an animal that has Ebola. And many villages in West Africa are surrounded by forest, and people are cutting these trees down. There is some gorillas, and primates are one of the major animals that are Ebola host. There has been a lot of mining in West Africa, and people are traveling in and out of the cities to get to their jobs and spreading the Ebola virus throughout regions of the country. War is also a reason for the spread of Ebola because it is driving people into forests where the infected animals live and driving the animals out, making them come into contact with each other. Deforestation drove the Ebola-infected bats out of their habitat, forcing them to find homes closer to people, and then this eventually led to the current outbreak of Ebola. You can see the little fruit bats in the trees that I'm sure they were drove out of. And then there's a picture of the mining and how they had to cut down those trees and disrupt that land so much that the animals that have the potential to hold the Ebola virus are drove out of their homes and closer to humans. And here's my works cited. And that is all. Thank you so much.